All right, here we go. Episode 26. And I finally have another man on the call. Nothing against the women, but it's glad to have another man on the phone call. You can hate me, women, but I'm here with Mark Murphy, who lost his daughter Lizzy, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, talk about Lizzy and what he's kind of done since her passing. So,
Yeah,
Mark,
let's get into it. What I didn't tell you is that today is we're recording. It's October 2nd, and Lizzie's birthday is tomorrow. So you know how that is in our world, to where you can feel it all kind of kicking up. You can feel the pressure in your chest. You're getting tired, and my wife's really upset. I got her over there. I got her two things of flowers because I could sense it. She was, kind of upset, obviously. So I didn't tell you that, but yeah. So tomorrow's a pretty tough day for us.
how old would she have been?
I don't know. I can't even track things like that. She died at 21
Okay,
in 2020, so I guess 26.
26, yeah.
I should know that. I don't count days anymore. I just kind of get lost into just keeping. I just keep moving, not forward, but I like to just keep moving in life. But back to my daughter Lizzie. Like everybody else, she died of fentanyl poisoning. She took a Xanax and then it was fake. The DEA agent came to my house and he showed me the pills, and it was everybody's got a different story, whether it was some child that was, drug addicted. To me, it's the same thing. You're losing a child. So I learned a lot about fentanyl poisoning, and I'm kind of a guy that I like to kind of just get facts and find out what's going on. Where's this stuff coming from? So I'm friends with the sheriff in my town. A great guy. His name was Sheriff Richard K. Jones, and he called me probably 6 months afterwards, I think. And he goes, "Mark, I got a phone call from an unrestricted phone number." And I'm like, it was like 10 o'clock at night or 9:30. And I go to my wife, Christy, I go, "Man, I got an unrestricted call. Who could that be?" She goes, "Answer it." So I answered it, and it was a sheriff. He goes, "Mark, I know you're going through a tough time right now, but I have an opportunity for you, and I don't mean to offend you in any way. I don't know how you're going to take this, but I'm going to go with some news reporters to the border, Arizona, and we're going to be, looking into the fentanyl issue. And if you want to come with me and ride with all of us, as a father, I would love to have you." And most of the time in my life, I kind of think through things. Like, let me think about it. Let me ask my wife. I go, "I'm in. Let's go. I want to figure this out." And he goes, "We're also going with the state rep." And I did not care. I don't care what party you're from. And anybody that starts to bring politics up to me, I shut them down. I could care less if you got a D or an R because I lost my child. Don't care.
Doesn't matter.
So I go, "Good. Okay, let's go." So we went with Cincinnati news station. It was Channel 12, and it was a big production on the news. So I was embedded with the Cochise County Sheriff's Department for 2 days. So it wasn't just, me going out there making a speech somewhere. I was working with these people, the sheriff's deputies on the border. So
Is
they're
it Mark?
taking me there.
Mark Daniel?
Cochise, it was, yeah, yep, Sheriff Daniels.
Daniel, yeah.
And so I'm riding with these deputies, and I'm asking them all the questions because I'm learning too. So we're driving around and we're pulling cars over. We got into a high-speed chase where the car overturned. It was a big ordeal. I have it all on film. I filmed it all. News crew was there. Life flight came to get the people out of the car. And then I'm learning more about the fentanyl and how it comes over through the cartels. It's not just through the ports of entry there, but it's also they're running it through on backpacks. I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the cartel members. So I'm not one that likes to, listen to what I need to see it myself. And if I see it myself, then you can't get me off the subject. I need to learn about it. So I went to the prosecutor's office, Cochise County. We had meetings. I was on the news there. And then we came back and we did a big episode on Channel 12 Cincinnati News where we talked about our engagement at the border. And we were very careful, Mike, not to really push political. So it was more about the health issue, about the awareness thing, which I get.
Right.
But to me, I can't ignore the fact of what I saw coming in
Yeah.
and what I was being told. And what I've learned And let me just back up by saying my daughter was poisoned on Trump's term. So I'm not political here. But subsequent to her passing, a new administration came in, and that's why I started. Whether Trump was in office or not, I didn't care. I was going to go to the border and figure out what's going on to come back and let my community know what's going on. Because in many cases, you only get a little bit out of the news. You don't get the whole story.
Right.
It's only segmented. They only pay 30 seconds. And that's when I learned in my interviews with the news stations that they don't put on the news what I said. Like it's all intentional. And I said, one phone call, this border can get shut down. And do not tell me that one phone call from any president could shut down the border because it can.
And it was left
Tell
out.
me anything differently means our president has no power, and that's simply not the case.
Right.
So we came back home, and my state rep, excuse me, she wasn't my state rep. A state rep came by. She says, "Mark, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to introduce the law. This is ridiculous. Fentanyl coming in, it's $1 a pill. They're selling it for $15 a pill, and all this stuff we learned. It's just crazy." So it was House Bill 230. So I got a bunch of us parents. I organized it, got all the parents involved. I wanted to get like a chemist, a nurse, and somebody that was really involved in awareness. We all testified. And it was for the homelands in Ohio, Columbus. And it's a very scary event, meaning you have to get up there and you have to speak. And before I went up there, my stomach was gurgling. I'm like, I don't even know if I can make this because it's very emotional. And I've seen all the parents testify. What I wanted to do is I go, wait, I cannot lose control here. I got to maintain myself because I need to make sure I get my points across. So I was nervous as heck, thinking, oh my God, what what if I can't express what I want to express for my daughter? So we get up there and we do each of us testified and we had all these procedures. You have to say through the chair, and there's probably 25, maybe 25 state reps from different areas in Ohio. And they could hammer you with any question they wanted to ask you. So as I'm sitting there and they're asking us questions, and you have no idea what's coming. Here's what kind of resonated with me that really, really bothered me. I'm up there and I am just my soul is wide open and I'm just up there and it's just out there, right? And I'm as serious as can be. It's very emotional for me. And these state reps are coming in and out. Cell phones going on and off with their cell phones on the phone. And they're coming back, leaving for another meeting, coming up and going. I'm going, wow, what a bunch of chumps. I just felt like a chump. I just felt like, wow. I mean, they don't care. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's not their business to care. They have another meeting in 5 minutes with the Columbus Zoo or some other lobbyist. So it's just a temporary thing. So the bill, it passed out of conference on April 24th, 2024, 80 yeas and 13 nays. It passed by the largest percentage of any bill out of conference. I don't know if just that year, but that is pretty good thinking how divided this country is. So I'm like, this is great. So we have to wait to get out of conference, and then it has to go to the Senate. So I'm following up with the state rep. I go, what's going on? What are we doing here? Well, there was a new Senate that came in, so you have to start over again. I was like, what do you mean? What? So Omar, can you testify again? No, I can't. I already testified. I testified. Now, the other parents that were with us, they went and testified again. God bless them. But I was out of town, and it was and they don't really give you much time. So it's like, can you come in next week? No, I run I run my own business, so I can't. I've traveled a lot. So that just showed me that, wow. And nothing's happened since then. It just kind of got lost. And that's kind of how I feel about us. And we just are lost. And that's why I like the lost voices of fentanyl and us parents. And I see it over and over again. We testify, and there's one or two people there, and we just get lost, and nobody really cares enough. It's like we're out there pleading and we're begging. It's like we're begging.
Yeah.
for people to listen to us. And a lot of us parents, we're professionals in everyday life. But to come up there and to just kind of, lead with your soul and it's wide open and your emotions are so raw and it's so brutal that you have to testify and wonder if you can keep it together. Um, and while everybody's bouncing around and playing games up there and just texting each other and reading other papers and having aides come to their ear, and you can just see that, wow, what a waste of time.
Waste of time. That's what I was about to say. A
Yeah.
waste of
Yeah.
time.
And I don't mean a waste in terms of that way, but nothing seems to really get delivered in terms of compensation or anything really big, except more recently the Hall Act passed, thank God. But I think you know what I'm talking about.
Well, we are victims, and we talked about this earlier today, that we are the victims. And I thought about this a lot with what we've been talking about for got a couple of weeks now. And, I thought about, the money and the compensation for the families, that we've been left behind. I know that a lot of money, the opioid abatement money, all that kind of stuff is going wherever. But I looked at me personally, what has happened to me. And I didn't really care to get money or anything like that. But I did think today, while I was thinking about this today, as I said, what have I lost? I said, well, I've lost all of my children. And I thought, how is this going to help me out? I don't need the money. I will say that I don't need the money because what am I going to do with the money? I've never asked for a dollar for speaking engagements or anything. I never want to make. In fact, I stopped my nonprofit 2 weeks ago. I said, I don't even want to make another dollar. I said, I choose to do this. So I'm going to pay out of my own pocket. Nobody's saying you have to go do this, Mike. But the biggest thing that hit me was I lost my son. And that's it for my family. I am actually the last person in my family. So I will never have a legacy. Not that I need a legacy, but that's the end of my life. I mean, that's the end of the Land family. And that really hit me. But you said something a while back that, because we talked about the financial cost of victims and everything. And I thought, you know what? All I can ever think about is, I've talked to families, hundreds of families, and they say, I just got shot with a $15,000 funeral bill. And I had to max out my credit card because you can't pay off a funeral. And and then you brought up a good point to me is the other side of things that I never even looked at. That, and hopefully you can get into that, talk about some of the women that you have talked to or that you've heard about.
Yeah, well, I'm part of a really great group called Do It for Jack, and we do a lot of awareness. So all of us are helping with the awareness. But I was struggling with something, Mike, and that was I just feel like there's unfinished business.
Yeah.
And as I'm thinking about, what can we do? What can we do? I just have this feeling. It's an unsettled feeling in my stomach to where something's just not right. When you talk about justice,
Yeah.
everything stops short of taking care of the victims. So it's not really the money part, it's the justice. And our government failed us, as my wife said. They failed us. And it all points to one point, and that's in China, through the cartels. We know where it's coming from. We know what happened. So it's people that would say, "Oh, I don't need the money." Then okay, then give the money to a 501(c)(3). It's not about needing the money. It's about holding the people that did this to us accountable. Because, like I said, we testify, we fight for awareness, we fight for our children. You get some of the people that are responsible for the death of a child goes to court. There's court expenses. There's all kinds of expenses. So I helped launch something called the Fentanyl Victims Fund. We have over 1,000 signatures on it, and the reason why I helped start this is because I just felt unsettled. It was just there's something in my stomach that I just need to complete something. And this is part of what's doing it. And I didn't really think about kind of like you how much it resonated until let me just read three little sentences. We have 1,000 people plus that signed up. And in signing up, you can put comments about how fentanyl has affected your life. So here's one, and these are very short. So one statement, this is from a mother. My son didn't have insurance. I used every dollar I had to give up my car and moved in with my daughter because I had no more money. I don't even have enough money. This chokes me up. Wow. For his headstone. He is in an unmarked grave. So there might be people in our groups that are doing okay. All right. But there's also these lost voices of fentanyl, not just our children's voices, but the lost voices of people like this that are crushed, that aren't even watching this. There's another one. This is a sister that's writing. My family was devastated by my brother's passing in every way, including financially. Not only did we have to come up with $10,000 unexpectedly to lay him to rest, but he also has a child that will be born soon that does not have a father to provide for her. Myself and my parents are happy accepting the role of caregivers, but it's another unexpected financial hardship. One more, this is it. And this is heartbreaking. This is a mother. I lost my 16-year-old daughter to fentanyl poison in 2021. The loss has devastated me financially, along with mentally and emotionally. This is breaking me up. I worked as a senior accountant prior to her passing, and I've struggled to work part time. This is a senior accountant, a CPA, now struggling to work part time in retail. My income doesn't cover my mortgage or HOA. I'm ready to lose it all.
Yeah.
So that's just one of probably 100 messages we have. That's my inspiration. So we know where this is coming from. And I think if we can get more people to be a part of this movement, we haven't got to the point yet. I was texted today asking how far it's going, what's coming along. We haven't got to the point where funds can even be talked about yet. All I'm asking for is give us parents over 1,000 plus signatures, give me a seat at the table to discuss a financial, to make restitution to us parents so they can live in peace. And let me give you an example. 3 weeks ago, our president, Trump, said about the tariffs in China. They asked him about the tariffs, and he goes, "We have a 20% tariff on China for fentanyl." Where's the money going? Where's it going? First stop should be the parents,
Right.
next of kin, the siblings. Why not us? And we do not have a space set up for our government to even be a part of this. They have nowhere to shoot this. We have to have some type of organization or place available to do this. Now, I have talked to a judge, a current judge, and an attorney that and he said I could see something happening with this. I could see a judge releasing funds from either cartel money or something to offset, the pain a lot of these parents are going through. So that's my mission on this, and who knows if it'll go anywhere, but it's making it, I don't feel as unsettled. I feel a little bit better about it.
Well, I appreciate it because I mean, the more I think about it, and we've talked a lot about this, over the past couple of weeks, and I think about the justice part of it, and that friend of mine that just down in Austin, and he didn't get justice legally, but I started thinking about it, and I think we talked about this, and I've talked about it with other people. I said, when somebody is sentenced for the death, I'm going to go two parts on this.
Yeah.
If if you killed my son and you put him in prison, or even if you don't, like this judge in Austin didn't put this person in prison, they caused harm. They killed somebody. Why can't you have a fine that this person has to pay for cost? Just like if I run you over in your golf cart and I cause $15,000 in damage to your body, the courts are going to fine me that I have to pay restitution to you. So the word restitution is perfect. Why can't these judges sentence restitution and fines to that person? Point number one. And point number two is I've always said, when I first started this, it was all about prevention. It was like, I don't want anybody else to die. I don't want anybody else to
Part of it,
die.
a big part of it,
I
big part of
love
it.
that. And we have to do
Yeah,
that. I think that's our
you bet.
role. But I also think, and I've always said this number, and it's probably up to 500,000 now. Since Preston has died, there have been about 500,000 people that have died. And I think that's a low end number because we're not counting the people that are or miscounted at the hospitals that die and they don't test, the reservations, the Indian reservations. I think it's a lot higher. So if I take
I
500,000
agree. Yeah.
people and you take 10 people per family that has lost somebody. I don't know how many people in your family that were affected. Let's just take 10 people on it. That's 5 million victims that are sitting out here right now. We're the victims left behind. And we are the biggest group or whatever club in the world. We have that fight. We have that voice.
Yep.
We need to
Yep.
get out there, and I want justice for them. Now, I can tell you, we've talked about this. I know my nickname, and I'm sorry to say this online. Yeah, I'm Stir Up Shit Mike in my county. I get that. And you sound like you're the same type of person we've talked. I don't have anything to lose. You can't mess with me. What are you going to do to me? And so I'm glad that you brought this up. And I think that's our biggest fight right now is we need to get these people out there. And to be honest, I'm ready to start that fight for not only to fight for prevention and awareness, which is needed, but
Yeah,
also
you bet.
I
Love
want
that.
I want to fight for the people left behind. I don't want, I put 4 videos out this morning and I've got 32 friend requests on Facebook today. And I hate to say this, they're not because they think I'm cool. It's because they lost somebody.
Yeah.
And it's getting sickening, and I don't want any more friends and I don't need them. But I want to be a voice for the other victims. And I'm glad that I've
We
got,
need to be. And here's just a couple other things. One is, there's an act right now called Stop the Chinese Fentanyl Act of 2025 that passed September 2nd, and it's going to the House, going to the Senate for consideration. So it's like, stop the Chinese fentanyl. There's got to be an act for that, right? I mean, God bless, but that's more prevention. I get it. There's a statement from the Senate in July 2025. The greatest single source of fentanyl is from the Senate. Um, the greatest source of fentanyl and synthetic opioid precursors to the Mexican cartels is the Chinese government.
yep.
It's a fact. It's the Senate said it.
Why do we need an
There was
act?
an, and then we have another one here. Here's another one that got me a little where I get upset. So there was a House in HR Bill 624. A great, I don't know this guy, but he proposed that recognizing the victims of illicit fentanyl poisoning act. So this is recognizing the victims, right? Went through and went through, and then it died, and it says where it saw no further action before the end of session.
Oh my God.
So some people try, but once again, it falls short. It's unsettled. That's what we need to close this. We have a past due balance.
Yeah.
We have a past due invoice that needs to be paid. And China and the cartels, they have a past due balance. And our parents we are deserved. We deserve to be compensated to help the people out, like I read, that are just struggling so much in life because they are accountable. Our government let us down. The stuff's still coming through, and we have to raise our voices. And if we have a group of, if I can get 5, 10,000 signatures, and I can hold that in my hand, that'll take us somewhere. We have 1,000 right now, but that's what we need.
You need our voices, and we need our voices.
I do. I
I'll say,
do.
I mean, I've always said this a million times. I mean, we can pass laws and say, and I've said this before. I said, you know what? Imagine if they said selling drugs is illegal and you can go to jail. Is that going to stop people from selling drugs? No, it doesn't stop. Laws don't stop anything. And I've been on stage and I've talked with prosecutors, law enforcement, whoever it is, U.S. attorneys, and they all say the same thing. And I'll repeat it a million times. We'll never prosecute our way out of the situation. We'll
Yeah.
never arrest our way out of the situation. We need the families. Derek Maltz, we all know Derek. He's always said this. We need the families. We need the voices of our families and to get out and
Well, we need to stick up for each other too, because I know you have, because I have. I've talked to parents that have lost, like what I read earlier, they lost everything. They can't even get out of bed. Their kids are having problems in school. I mean, it is bad what it's causing. And I don't, it's like kind of the underbelly of everything that's happened with our loss to the parents that we don't see, the lost voices. Because there's tons, like you said, 500,000 affected families. And I just think by us moving forward with fentanyl victim fund, it holds it's accountability, man. And I think that would give all of us a win. We'd
yeah.
feel good about something, and we need a win because we can't measure awareness. It's great, we talked to 1,000 people, but we need a win. And by something like this, if we can set this up to where some law firm picks us up and we have a class action lawsuit and the government says, wait a minute, yes, these funds, they go to here. And then every parent that signs up for it through some type of law firm, however it works out, they get the funds in perpetuity. Maybe $10 billion, five, who cares? Let's give these parents some peace. And it's there. The Senate said it. They're trying to pass bills about it. We know where it's come from. There's a guilty party, and
Yeah.
they need to make it right, man. That's
Well,
what's got me angry, man. That's why, we need to do something about it.
I think the biggest thing that in my opinion, I think a lot of families, you and I don't need the money or whatever, but I think it would actually give us closure that somebody actually listened to us and cared.
Yes, that's it. It's just, I know so many of us are walking around with unsettled. We just feel like we're not being heard. We go testify and walking in and out of the conferences. They don't care. Okay,
Now,
I get it. But we need to make part of it is, Mike, we got to do it. We got to make ourselves relevant. We got to be self-reliant. We got to do it. And I'm just one, I go, you know what? I have to do something. I just can't sit back and, the awareness is great. I talk to kids. I get all that, but there's just more to it. It's the closure part I need, not the closure on the death of my daughter. That's never going to change, but just in terms of an accomplishment for us. Look what we did. We were able to help this mom, this family that's about to lose everything. That to me, that's why I was choking up. That's what kills me. That hurts me.
and
And
I
if
think
we can make that right, they deserve it. They deserve it. And China should pay.
and our loved ones would I want to say would be proud that we do this for them. That's the biggest
Could
thing.
you imagine how what I've learned through this, Mike, is the importance of doing things that are good for your soul. And if we can do something that helps other people out, that really helps them out, because that would. Because people say, oh, I don't need the money. But if somebody's buried in bills where they have a funeral expense, they lost their car, you mean to tell, yes, that would bring them some peace. They're already dealing with struggling, but if you're struggling as it is, and you have to pay 20 grand for a funeral, $10,000 that mom that couldn't, unmarked gravestone. I
And then
mean, really?
and then
And then we're
that mother that you bring up, what if she has another child that she's trying to take care of? That child,
Well, I mean, the chances are she does.
yeah.
I mean, I have hundreds of these things. I had to go through them all with my wife and go, which one? Oh my Lord! I mean, you start crying when you read these, and they're us. They're people that are probably listening to the podcast right now. God bless you if you're listening to this. It's people in our group.
Yeah.
It's people from Lost Voices of Fentanyl Facebook page that respond to this. So it's one of our parents. It's us.
It is. It's
If we're
us.
not taking care of each other, we got to take care of each other, man.
Well, you are. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but tell me about what's going on October 18th, because I know you're going somewhere.
Yeah, April Babcock, who is, I think, an angel. She's a force to be reckoned with. She's doing the Lost Voices of Fentanyl, and I was helping with her. I wrote the itinerary for the last 4 years. AI took my job. She doesn't. She doesn't. She doesn't
Probably
do
a
it
good thing
anymore. I don't
sometimes.
have to do it. I'm like, wait, I don't have to write it anymore. So we're bringing people in to speak, fathers and mothers that are going to get up there and talk. And I am April's part of the Fentanyl's Victim Fund as well. And so is Paul Martin. He's part of that as well. I asked Paul Martin to get involved. He's with United Against Fentanyl. I asked him to help. So he wasn't coming to us. I had a meeting with him and say, I need somebody that has your skill set to get a website going for us. I can't do any of that. He goes, let me think about it. He thought about it. And I asked him again. He said, yes. So good guy. So he's going to be there. And I'm going to get to speak about it for 15, maybe not that long, maybe 5 minutes, and hopefully get more parents to be involved in Lost Voices of Fentanyl with this march to sign this a petition and to get more signatures and share it to get more signatures. So we're going to march. There's like a Friday. There's a dinner. There's like a little banquet. There's going to be a singer that's going to be there, and it's just a very well-run event. Pam Bondi might be there speaking, the current Attorney General. So a lot of people are going to be talking about awareness as well. But this is a faction of the Lost Voices of Fentanyl aspect of that October 8th that I'm going to be speaking about as well on stage.
October
So
18th. October 18th.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. The event is the 18th. People are coming in the 17th. That's when people mostly get to town. So I'm having a meeting with my congressman that Friday when I fly in. He's the one that actually he had a bill that we tried to get through as well. It was called the Lizzy Murphy bill. You can see this. You can see this. That's him, one of my congressmen. He was the only congressperson to speak, and that's me and my other daughter, Lizzy. It was a terrible day out, but we tried to pass the Lizzy Murphy Act to stop the cartels, and one person can only do so much,
Yep.
and we were not able to get it passed. And so this is what's driving me crazy about all these groups and everything we're trying to do. It's like we're all shooting in different directions. If we could come together and be behind
That's
the fentanyl victims fund, sent to completion, and hold China accountable, let's do it.
you're right about I'm just joking. 10 million nonprofits out there with fentanyl awareness. I get it. And we're all doing. I always say, think global, act local is what I
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But I think there's a point where, I think there should be a group of us that come together, maybe, hell, I'm even thinking one from each state, whatever we can do and come.
Well, if just to digress quickly, if other people talk about like the Sackler lawsuit, where every state was given money, in Ohio, I looked it up, and I know this is separate from us, but it kind of it touches it a little bit because it's the opioids get the addiction, so it's kind of part of it, and I could have read it wrong, so don't quote me on it. Go check it out yourselves, people. Go in every state. I think the state was awarded $1 billion or something. I looked through who was getting paid. Nothing went to the parents, man. One of it was, it's a fact, 100 jail cell beds. I get it, prisons are good, but once again, that money, it trickles, it goes down, 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 never gets to the parents. It should be parents up here, then trickle down. The pyramid needs to go the other way and flip.
Well, that's a whole other topic. But I know with Texas, we got the largest lawsuit. I think it's 1.8 billion.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and yeah, that's a whole other fight. I
But
saw.
I just don't see anything going to the parents, and that's kind of my point. Is I see it all out there, everything. We're the last, and I'm tired of being the last, and I don't like losing. I don't like it.
Well, we're two voices, and we can start this, and you have the same feelings as I do, and I think we can make a lot of change out there. So,
Let's get it, man. Let's
let's.
get it.
All right, I'm going to stop recording here. So, thank you so much for sharing, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day, Mike.